Well, folks, we're at Advancing Preconstruction 2026, Phoenix, Arizona. I have the wonderful Luigi La Corte here with me. He is CEO and founder. And I don't want to say a new kid on the block. Like,
Relatively new.
well, how long now, just before we...
We've been running Provision for about 4 years now.
Yeah, you're not new. Like there's most of the companies in there. The reason that I think you're new is because you haven't been in Advanced
That's true.
Preconstruction before.
Yeah, we haven't made our way on the circuit.
Yeah. So Provision is how old? 4 years?
So 4 years, but really we've been in market for about 2.5. Let's call it 4 years.
Cool. So that gives some context.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go into, listen, folks, we're going to go into loads of detail on Provision, the problem you're trying to solve, the success you've had so far.
Right.
We want to get across what you've been discussing with every customer here at Advancing Preconstruction for the people that haven't come. So we'll get into that. But to give us some context on that, talk to me about your upbringing as a kid. Was it always construction for you? Who had the influence on that?
My dad's a general contractor. So my dad is he's a funny guy. He's a painter by trade. Okay. He comes from Sicily. And there's a lot of La Cortes in Sicily. Most of them are either painters or they work in a mortuary.
Okay.
Very odd.
That is very odd.
So my dad's like, well, I'll be a painter. I don't want to be around dead bodies. So him and his brother came to Canada. They became painters. My dad's a super charismatic guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started collecting clientele who liked him and wanted to do more work. And eventually it was, help me do a renovation for the bathroom, help me do a kitchen, etc. And so he turned that into a general contracting business and ended up doing some residential general contracting and then some commercial general contracting. Being his only male son, he's like, some free labor. Yeah. Bring Luigi on the job site. So I started working with him when I was a teenager and really fell in love with the industry. I would do paint baseboards for him and my fingers would ache. And I actually really enjoyed it. Like I still enjoy painting with my dad. But that was my first exposure into the industry. My dad wanted me to be a civil engineer. He didn't like paying structural engineers for their stamp. So, another way to exploit his son's labor. And then it went from there.
Brilliant.
I did more than I became a civil engineer, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah, it wasn't for you. Had you always got the entrepreneurial spirit? Obviously your father had that as well. Was that something that you felt quite young?
I think so. So like as a kid in high school, I was a little bit naughty. I would have businesses, but nothing like I would want to tell anybody about. I would help my friends cheat on their exams. And that was really short-lived when my mom found out. But in a way, yeah. Like I really liked solving problems for people. Yeah. Really, really did. And in high school, I would do the same thing for my dad, and I did the same thing for internships. In a way, yeah, I was inspired by my dad quite a bit.
Brilliant. And then Provision, where did the idea come from? And also, I always ask this, talk to me about the name. Why did you call it
Sure.
Provision?
So where it came from, it's related to how I ended up. So let me trace back how we got to Provision. So after my dad had pushed me into civil engineering, I did university. I took a civil engineering undergraduate, graduated. I worked for a multidisciplinary engineering firm, Arup.
Yeah.
They're UK based. Really did not like it. When I worked there as an engineer, I was somewhat convinced that engineering consulting was going to be commodified.
Yeah.
You're under the thumb of a general contractor in a design build. They have so much power in that relationship. It really wasn't for me. So I went back to school in my fourth year because it was a 1-year internship and decided I was going to get into finance. So I took project finance courses. The first case study in that project finance course was a developer investor called Plenary. Plenary invested their own capital in these projects, and they would also raise debt. So they would invest in these mega projects like hospitals and toll bridges and whatnot. I worked for them. I got a job, and then I would work as a partner to the largest general contractors in the world. So we would contract with Webcor, Gilbane, PCL, Elliston, the really, really big ones. So that's how I ended up working with very large general contractors. Where I realized that Provision needed to exist, a lot of these general contractors were fighting in some form or another. They were either in litigation with the owner over some issue, or their subcontractors were suing them. And I thought back to working with my dad. My dad had very similar issues. In construction, it's a very messy business. you can have a contract and you can have a spec and you can have a drawing, but nothing is completely figured out. Everything is somewhat bespoke, and that gives rise to a lot of issues. So I noticed my dad's having some issues. The largest general contractors are having some big issues. It's obviously an industry problem. I was working there for about 6 years and saw the rise of AI. I think GPT-3 had just come out, and I thought this is the perfect time to go try and start a business.
There you are.
So I left, and then I started the company. As for the name, I knew I wanted it to be focused on the details of the documents. And when you're reading a contract, like an individual clause is a provision. And so being detail-oriented and being able to pull into the document to surface insights led me to the name.
Brilliant. I love it. I like the name.
Oh,
it's better when you explain it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's catchy.
I appreciate that.
Good. Now, you've had a lot of people at your booth. First time
Yes.
at Advancing Preconstruction. How have you found it?
Advancing Preconstruction's been one of the best events we've been to.
Yeah.
Like the quality of people here is amazing. Everyone's receptive to technology. Everybody wants to, as the name suggests, advance pre-construction.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because like we do outbound as a channel, and my BDRs are calling people. 97% of the time, they don't answer. And then once they do answer, it might be 75% of the time, they tell you to fuck off. But here, you run into someone, they say, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how are you trying to
talk to me?
How are you trying to make pre-construction better? And it's such a breath of fresh air because, like, I have literally been building my business for someone like you.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
And what's the response been like?
The response has been excited.
Good.
So, Provision has had a few incarnations.
Cool.
The product that we started with is not the product that we have now.
Nice.
When we launched to the public about 2.5 years ago, it was really a contract review product. And we really lost faith in the defensibility of that product when we saw models getting really impressive. Like a Claude or a ChatGPT can really do contract review very, very well.
Yeah.
There are limitations. You can't make it enterprise ready to some degree. It doesn't have the same integrations. But to have a really explosive company, you need a hard problem that people really care about.
Yeah.
So we decided to attack scopes. So what scopes are, when a general contractor is reviewing a project, they intake drawings and specifications. They need to go out to market. They break down that project into subcontractor scopes.
Yeah.
So a portion goes to mechanical, a portion goes to electrical. That process is fraught with error.
Yeah.
The result currently are scope gaps
and
time spent. That's a problem that we're addressing now.
Love it.
Yeah. There's no product in the market like it. And I think that novelty and this kind of no-brainer use of AI has gotten people really excited.
Yeah. And why has it been, first of all, why is there no other products? Like, I believe competition is healthy.
Yeah.
Wonder why there's no competition. Can you figure it out?
There is early competition.
Cool.
There's early competition. People know that it's a problem and people are attacking it.
Good.
But I would say it's fairly greenfield.
Okay.
Nobody has won. There's no clear winner yet.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting.
Yeah, of course.
That's really exciting because you build a venture-backed business because you want to win a category.
Yeah.
At least the prudent advice is you go win a category, you accelerate as much as possible to become a big company.
Yeah.
So why scopes haven't been addressed, it's such a hard problem. It's such a hard problem. First of all, the nature of the problem is you need to look at the drawings.
Yeah.
Humans have their eyes, but large language models, which are the technology du jour, they don't do well with images.
Mm-hmm.
So then you need to build image models or you need to use them off the shelf. And then you have to wrangle them. And okay, here's a very simple problem that's LLMs do a bad job of currently solving. I say, find me all the scopes in this project. I upload a PDF to ChatGPT. How does it know whether it's in scope or not? Well, as a human, I go to a legend, okay? And let's say I'm looking at painting scope. I see a painting code, like, let's say PT1, right? That needs to be referenced in the drawing on a plan for me to know that that's relevant scope. The legend may say many things, but if it's not referenced in the plan, it's not real scope. It's one simple edge case. There are thousands of them. So you need, before AI, you would need human eyes to interpret them and to say, based on my experience, this goes to this subcontractor or this goes to this one. Now, with the technology that we've developed, it's becoming a lot easier.
And talk to me about, we talked off air about the data set.
Right, the
that
data
you
set.
have. Talk to me about that.
Okay, so what I've noticed about this industry is that trust is very important. And I've also noticed that people are very skeptical towards AI, and I think rightfully so. So every product we build is backed by an auditable and numerous data set that we build. And so if I were to say, I can clip a podcast for you, and I know exactly what your podcast likes to clip. I would need to have a data set to know that that's true. I would say, hey, 98% of the time we get the right clip. Similar to in scopes, we have to develop hundreds of thousands of individual line items of scopes that we extracted from drawings to be able to defensively say, yeah, this product has been tested against this data set, and it is good.
And then that obviously spits out scope gaps, which is the most important thing.
So yes, so on the data set to build that, you literally need to hire estimators to interpret these drawings and to write line items of scope. So we've spent around $1 million building a data set so that we could defensively train the model. And I mean train in air quotes, because you have to like push the model towards doing the right behavior. To know where it fails, you have to see where it has the wrong answer, and to know what the wrong answer is, you have to have a data set. So we spent about $1 million, but that's gotten us to very good accuracy. Accuracy that we would be able to stand behind and say, you're not going to encounter many issues. Some issues, but not many.
Of course, yeah.
So scope gaps are this huge pain point in the industry, and everyone talks about them. And this is what led us to the problem. Like all our customers, after we tried to solve contract review and spec review, they were saying, these scope gaps, they're costing me a lot of money. So scope gaps are not a real thing, okay? Scope gaps, this is like umbrella term of problems. And ultimately it leads to the general contractor losing money. Okay?
Of course.
But it's many things. The scope gap is, I'm an estimator. I missed this scope when I was subcontracting it. And so that's stranded with me. Scope gap. A scope gap is, I accurately captured the scope, but there were items on the drawings and the specifications that were not there, and they need to be done. Inferred scope. Let's say blocking to put a railing, for example. That needs to be there, but it's inferred. That's a scope gap. Coordination between the subs that's necessary to make sure that they manage the risk. That's a scope gap. So there's many types of scope gaps. They don't map cleanly to anything that's defined. So what we do is we will intake these drawings and specifications. We will spit out we'll spit out all the items that we find in estimator line items. Right. So not every single one. We roll them up so that an estimator isn't inundated with thousands of items. We will associate them with a subcontractor. And then once we find all the items, we say, hey, this mechanical scope, you actually will have some scope gaps, but we've addressed them by adding inferred scope that you should give to your mechanical sub. And because we have all the subs, we say, between these subs, here are some additional gaps. We see air handler units, but it's not clear who wires them. It's the electrical contractor. So we'll say, electrical contractor, you need to wire the air handlers or all the equipment. Or in the concrete scope, provide the housekeeping pads for the mechanical equipment. Those are kind of intra-scope or intra-subcontractor gaps. So that's the result. And so what it gets our customers is now they can go and scope a job. What used to take weeks, now they can verify in a day. And we're catching these really valuable gaps. I mean, every time we show a customer, they say, that's a $50,000 gap that you just found for us.
I'm sure they all add up. Like I'm sure
they take a lot of money.
They
take a lot of money.
There might even be hundreds of these things.
Yes, there could be a lot of them. There could be a lot of them. There's estimates, they really vary, but it looks like somewhere between like 0.5 to 2% of project costs. It could be, that's a lot. I think the standard deviation's high. But it could be a lot of money.
Brilliant. Talk to me about AI. I'm sure everybody at your booth has been talking about AI.
Everyone is talking about AI.
So this is just kind of feedback from the people I've interviewed and the general contractors that we talk about. Is it safe to say that AI will be used one of two ways? Either estimators will have to be upskilled in AI, or the AI will be in the software that they use, so they can then go and do the value add, high level stuff that they're trained and educated to do.
I think both are true.
Okay.
I think that estimators are going to have to upskill in AI, and they'll be using tools that are not made for construction but have construction use cases. So they, by nature, will have to learn how to use AI, because the promise of AI is workforce automation. And I think everyone wants that, as long as it's accurate. At the same time, vertical solutions like myself, people who are trying to solve construction-specific problems, because we have industry knowledge and we know how the workflows work, we can come in and say, hey, general contractor, I know this is how you do scopes. I can reduce that by 90% so that your estimators can go work on subcontractor pricing or value engineering. And so it will be both. They'll have to upscale themselves with tools that we provide, but in a way, AI is now part of your team.
Yeah.
It's just, it should unlock more productivity for the general contractor. I believe that it will.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You're saying it should, right? Your tagline claims that you're building the AI estimator for construction. Talk us through that. How does that, the AI estimator sounds like this person's going to have to understand AI.
Right.
They're going to have to be able to use code, whether it be Cloud Code, Coworker, whatever it is. Is that what you mean by AI estimator for construction?
By AI estimator, I mean, so what is an estimator? It's obviously, it's a person. It's a person who has a role. A role is based off of individual workflows, responsibilities, tasks. You first of all, you cannot replace an estimator with AI.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And I don't know if it'll ever be possible, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And I really mean that. But if you look at the individual tasks, some of them are very tractable. Meaning, if I'm an estimator and my job is to first review the spec and pull out equipment, that is a very tractable workflow that can be automated with AI. We can do that, right? And so provision is really an assemblage. It's like many workflows in one tool that help estimators become more productive.
Yeah.
And so it's not just scopes. We also have an RFI agent. So RFI agent finds conflicts between specs and drawings, and then it'll surface it to the estimator. And so in effect, they're saving time doing that very manual job of trying to find issues. Now it surfaces for them. Same with spec review, same with contract review, same with chat. So all those tools in aggregate, I don't actually think it's an AI estimator because, again, an estimator does so much, but it's working towards getting rid of some of the more like rote manual workflows that are valuable, but the estimator could be doing more valuable things.
Yeah. No, listen, I totally agree with you. I think that's the way it's going to go. The other thing is, the other two things is the ownership around the data and security. So let's talk about those two.
They're so important. So like I said, we built our own benchmarks. We don't take customer data and build our own benchmarks. It's everything that we need to build to substantiate our claims for accuracy, but also to get an accurate product.
Yeah.
So ownership of the data is very interesting. Obviously, in our relationship with our customer, we have a contract with them.
Yeah.
But really, it's like it's the owner who owns these documents. Like it's their design. But that notwithstanding, we don't use that information to train our models. We hire estimators and we find public projects, and then we'll use that, turn those into basically estimates, and then that forms our data set. And so we look at our data set, it's literally project upon project, completely scoped from head to tail, from demolition down to landscaping and earthworks, every single line item in painful detail. But yeah, data ownership is important for our customers because they're also making corresponding claims to the owner, right? That their data is also very valuable. There's not much else to say apart from the companies that have a good track record of no data breaches and not using data in any untoward way, they're probably the ones that you want to work with.
Yeah.
We're SOC 2 certified, SOC 2 Type 2. It's an industry standard for security, GDPR compliant. Never had a security incident. We do pen tests, penetration tests. People are trying to get access to your software physically and digitally. It's the most important. It's very important. I mean, these projects, they're not federal top secret projects because we don't have FedRAMP secure or FedRAMP certification, but they're still very important. It could be a hospital or a data center.
Yeah. And then security. It's a hot topic. The data part is hot. The ownership topic. You've covered that. What's next for provision? Like what's getting you out of bed now in the morning?
Really, it's making Scope Agent successful and bringing it everywhere.
Okay.
We've gotten to the point where the product works. We need to get to customer love, more intense customer love. We're still iterating with our customers, our early customers, but we're getting there. Yeah. We have some customers who are like the light bulb has come on and said, this is how I'm going to do my scopes. One of our customers, their design partner, they were very honest. They're an Ontario GC. He said, I was very skeptical that this would ever work, but this is changing scopes forever.
Wow.
Because, I mean, like with Scope Agent, once we intake, let's say, addenda, we'll tell you all the scopes that have changed.
Yeah.
And now you just go forward that off. So it changed mechanical. It changed plumbing. Okay, we'll go change your plumbing scope. And previously, this would take weeks.
So is there a case of you want scope agents provision to be the go-to across the US for general
Yes.
contracting?
Yeah, across US and Canada and Europe, I need Scope Agent to be the number one solution for scope coverage. So the thing about scope is like there's, it doesn't fall neatly into a category,
Yeah.
right? Like, so what do? Do you do takeoffs? Do you do bid leveling? No, we do scopes. I think there will be a new category, like a scope coverage type category.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything? Have we sent out the subcontractor scopes of work? So that's we're not looking to invent a category, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Because our customers need to recognize the pain, but our customers come up to us now and say, I am desperately looking to make scopes easier.
Yeah.
Because it takes so much time. Sometimes more than takeoffs. But you don't hear about it,
No,
right? Like
do
there's a
not.
takeoff category, but there's not a scopes category. I think that's so interesting.
The ones you hear about the most, and it's just been me giving you feedback from the industry, is takeoffs, bid leveling, and sub-solicitation. Like the scopes, don't get me wrong, I do hear about it, but nowhere near as much.
The savvy contractors are spending a lot of time making sure that their scopes are accurate because they know that it leads to a bunch of downstream issues if they get it wrong.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I think it will be the new category.
Have you done any case studies for ROA or?
We've done some. We don't have any paper,
Yeah.
but I can give you a few anecdotes.
Yeah.
So one of our customers, same customer, they said it takes 3 weeks to write a scope of work. They were able to do it in about 4 days.
Wow.
And instead of writing it manually, the way they typically do it is they'll do page flips, they'll find scope, they'll put it in that subcontractor list, or they have a template full of, let's say, template scopes, and then they'll eliminate or they'll add.
Yeah.
So that whole process can take weeks, and they do multiple runs. With us now, what they do is they open up provision, and they go to mechanical, and they tab through every scope that we find and see it on the drawing.
Yeah.
So the difference is no more page turns,
Yeah.
and now they can just accept or reject.
Wow.
And we give them the tools to understand their documents a lot faster. So like the common refrain was, I want my team to understand the documents, and without a page flip, I worry that they don't.
Yeah.
But now I can accelerate your understanding of mechanical and all the connected parts of mechanical and all the gaps that could happen with mechanical in, 1 30-minute review window on your computer.
Yeah.
So that's one anecdote, complete time savings. Another one, it's the Atlantic office of a very large general contractor in Canada. We showed them scopes that we generated with Scope Agent. They had 5 addenda. We showed them addenda that modified 2 scopes. They hadn't sent it out to their subcontractors. We found them issues that would have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot quicker.
Yeah.
They probably would have found it because they're very switched on.
But how downstream would it have gotten?
Well, it would have been impactful. It would have been even today. A very large general contractor sent me a note. We were piloting Scope Agent, and he said, "Provision found this very interesting scope. It was it's a beam with an embedded LED that I never would have found because of where it was buried.
Yeah.
The most minute detail on a back of the package drawing.
Yeah.
He said it would have been a fight later on.
Yeah.
But those things add up, and they happen all the time.
Yeah.
So, it really jazzes me to see those types of feedback because I just love people not having to fight about this. Like I love a GC being able to say, I feel confident. Like I've actually caught everything. Yeah. So that gets me jazzed. That's the goal. The goal is to absolutely scale the shit out of Scope Agent, make sure people love it, and win the category.
There you are, folks. What a way to finish the podcast. Luigi, that gives a great understanding of provision, what you're trying to do, and how you're going to get there. If there is anybody listening here saying, I need to get a demo of provision, I need to speak to Luigi, where's the best place to connect?
You can find us on provision.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. We will do a free scope for you on a complicated project that you have good knowledge of. We'll show you what we found. And ideally, we show you things that you didn't find. That wouldn't be ideal, but we would be able to show you on a project that you're very familiar with, and we'd be happy to do that.
Wonderful. There you are, folks. So go to the show notes. I'll put the website, Luigi's LinkedIn profile, which, again, I've looked at it. Even if you're not interested, I would recommend following Luigi.
I appreciate that.
For the content, the feedback from, and just updates from Provision as well. So thank you very much. Looking forward to following your story and hopefully getting you on next year.
Yes.
For an update.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Cheers, Luigi.